No, I just told Tyler, I was like, if you want to watch them, I'd be fine with that, so I can have adult conversation. So, yeah. I left it at home.
All right. All right, now my picture taking begins. All right, you guys, try and get over there. It's not every day Mickey is in town. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
I tell you that Sawyer was very disappointed that it wasn't Mickey Mouse on Sunday. Yeah, like, he even asked Mickey, he goes, I see you wearing that thing. You wear that. It was open already. So, yeah. I think it should be the next back. Like, not here.
About 3 years ago. So it seems like. So I got a braid at the bottom of the house.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna sit down in the chair and get tired.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really good.
October 15th.
Yeah. Very day or I should be getting on the game. So, yeah. Be there for, yeah.
So we both 5 days and then we have talks.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. Did you ever?
I interviewed for one position. To replace a guy who went out to the service. He went out there for a day and quit. So they went with a different person, the other the guy's like. And then now my manager, the doctor, is like, are you patient? Are you gonna say is that you just did this there? Well, you're not training me in anything. So.
50 bottles or something like that. It's great.
The deadline.
Yeah.
What?
I think that was, I think they got, so what is it? I think it's okay.
Just a yes or no.
Yeah, yeah, they have this whole private service. Like, they all got people.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's got to be-
I think it's.
That is about.
Yeah, of course, of course. Even every day. Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me.
Not for sure. I tried to wait. What do you do?
So that only allows you to leave.
Sounds fun.
That we announced at the time of the meeting.
You know what?
Something.
You see that?
They have a great. Oh, I got it. This is
So, got it activated last week, so it's still building up the tolerance. Don't have to do the stupid mask. Still slower.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird when you turn it on. It like sounds like a. I don't know, test set from your tongue. We all, we're kind of like this. Kind of weird. I don't feel like that. I mean, hopefully I will. Glad still get the headaches. Like, me, I went to get a turn. So.
All day.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you guys do tonight?
Just missing everything.
All right, that's not gonna work.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys keep for now?
It's a ball rolling. I mean, it's.
Yeah. No, you're good. Definitely. My sign. And then the budget on the top is parking. He goes, I did like class. Yeah, Tyler made that. That's why it's so long. And I said. I got these 50 cups. My dad's I asked him, are you ready? And he it's gonna be so magical. Yeah, but they had a garage there. So I did pay it Friday. So I wanted to do this. We did GE road and then the rotary over there. I was just, I don't know. Because it's a 36. So it's a big stone. Yeah, so it's like. Okay. I've been in rotary 42 years, right? It's 42 years. Yeah. You took a 10-year hiatus. So. That's how much I drew. And his wife was like, like, maybe that's the whole time. She was not kidding. There was like no simmer. Like it was like you had to like pay attention to what it was. Yeah. So right. Yeah. But like yeah.
How's it been, Dean? Said it, so I'm taking you up on that off.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're gonna start. We're doing a very fun-filled meeting tonight. So if you're here, it is a great night to learn more about Rotary. We're gonna do a vocationals of Rotarians through the years. So we're gonna start with Angela, who's our newest member, then move to Ryan, who is one of our charter members, and then Dean Dickinson, who has been in Rotary for 42 years. Just a few things, we record all our meetings, you can always watch them, you can share them, if you want to share this with your friends and family about your Rotary community, that'd be great. If you'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Neil, if you want to do some welcoming of visitors and guests.
All right, tonight we have two visiting people here with us. We got, when you stand up, when I say your name, please stand up. And then just say what you do, and then, give us your favorite summer activity. So we have Andy, Thomas,
Thomas with an E.
Thomas, thank you.
I'm an environmental scientist for Galen Power Cooperative. I work with Jolene, who is my sponsor, I guess. My favorite summer activity is probably either hiking or bike riding. My bike is at the door earlier.
Nice, do you go up to the Hickson Forest?
Yeah, I use it more as like a weekly stuff.
Nice, awesome, well, welcome. And then we got Ross, Ferdina.
Ferdina, yep. Hey, everyone, Ross Ferdina, so I'm a strategic planning facilitator, independently owned by me. So hello. And then my favorite summer activity is honestly just standing in the sun in the morning when it comes up. I could do that every day. It's all I like to do. I know I should say like I love canoeing or something else, but it's like feeling the sun after so many months of drought.
Yeah.
I love that, nice, well, welcome. Any people online?
No, not unless I'm doing something wrong.
Go that way. And
Say this, you're doing it.
if you have any announcements, please come up to the owl, so that way they can hear you a little bit better.
Let's keep going. All right, okay, back one. Okay, so we haven't been in person for a hot moment, so May birthdays, we had Brad Burke, May the 4th. Nicole, Angela, Jenny, AH, and then Ryan Bourne is soon. So happy birthday to all of you. And then we also have some Rotary anniversaries. Alyssa, Frank, is she here? 10 years. Alicia, that's you, 2 years. And then Pete was 1 year, so congrats to them. Since you haven't been here, we gotta pick 2 member of the months, one for May, one for June. So I'm gonna have Mickey and Claudia, we just swirl the cards around and pick one each. This will be our member of the month, so we get to learn about them. Okay, cool. All right, very. So May is gonna be Brandon Harris.
I guess if we go up.
And June is gonna be Jason Jones. Awesome, thank you. All right, only a few announcements, we're keeping this short. So we did see this, our annual loggers game is on Thursday, July 17th. It's kid friendly, invite other Rotarians, invite your friends. All details are on our Facebook page and website. And then some of our committee updates. Service committee is Johnny here. Okay, that's me. So we have a couple things in June, just to plan ahead. Monday, June 2nd is the Monday meals. They do have an opportunity to help cook, so she does have it all posted if you want to sign up for those shifts. And the other is Riverfest fencing on Monday, June 30th. We've been doing this for quite some time. All the money raised goes to our polio efforts, so hopefully you can join them. Membership committee updates. This is about elections. Neil.
All right, so we just are going through elections, and we're going to present the current board coming forward. And then we'll open it up for everyone to vote. Oh, sorry. So the current board members right now are in white, and then the upcoming ones or the incoming ones are in orange. So this, for the current ones that are going to be staying on the board, are myself, Stephanie, Brad, and then Joe Hammis, and then Jason Jones. And then for our nominations and those who have accepted, our president-elect is Amy, Dustin, and then Megan as our secretary-elect, Nicole Dressoni as our sergeant-at-arms, Jolene Tressoni as another one-year director, and then Pete Serrati as our other one-year director, putting us at 11 people. So there will be an email after this. They'll ask for your approval of this board. So if you guys could just go on there, answer that link, and then also on there too, there's nominations for project of distinction, right?
Amateur service.
Avenues of service, and then rising star, and then also Rotarian of the year. So you can all nominate people on that, give a reason why. If we did a really cool service project or something cool in the club, nominate that for avenues of service. We won a couple years in a row here. So it's really cool event, but that email will be coming out, and then we're thinking shutting that down on June 6th for answer that kind of email.
And then you usually put the list on there of who's already had it and who is eligible.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. You're good.
Okay. Okay, that was really short and sweet. So first we have two guests here that maybe you have recognized. So we're gonna have Nikki and Claudia come up here. And I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Wherever my phone went. Is she just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go in the middle, so you're on.
You go right in the middle. I'll give you this. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I wanna
Explain a little bit and then I'll
I
ask.
wanna do an introduction quickly. So basically, for those of you who know me, I'm Mickey. I've been exchange student back in 2018 in Rotary After Hours Group, which is here. And first of all, I wanna say thank you. Thank you guys for having me 6 years ago. I know it's been 6 years. It's hard to believe, it is actually 6 years ago. And yeah, I'm really thankful to you guys till this day. The thing that I'm standing right here is just a proof that I want to, come back to the place where it's all started when it comes to Rotary. And yeah, I guess that's my introduction.
Okay, I'll switch you. All right, we have some really good questions for you, which I think you know the answers for. All right, how did it feel stepping back into your host country after 6 years?
It felt absolutely great to be back in the US and to be back in Wisconsin, the state that I really loved over the years, and yeah, I feel like it's my second home, and it's not a lie at all, I just feel it is the right place to be, and yeah, I would like to be back with you guys and see all of your faces, so yeah.
How about what was the first thing you noticed that had changed since your exchange 6 years ago?
So I think when I came back from the exchange, I did in 2018, I became probably even more open-minded person. I was, ready to do everything or like people told me to, I'm a this kind of a person that never says no. I'm like up to, to do anything that is, in plans or something. And yeah, I guess, the exchange is for sure life-changing opportunity for people. And yeah, it's just wonderful how people do it. And so I would recommend it to like probably every person that is pretty brave actually, because, doing the exchange is not that easy at all, to go to a abroad country for a year and, spend the year there and go to the, other school. And yeah, that's the answer for this one, I guess. Yeah.
You're so good with your answers. All right, how about number 3? Were there any places you couldn't wait to revisit, and did they live up to your memories?
That's an easy one, all right. So basically, I have my favorites when it comes to the states of America, and it's obviously number 1, which is Wisconsin. Then we are moving up to the number 2, which is Colorado. I really like that one when it comes to the climbing mountains and stuff. We did one of the 14ers with Rockies, which is Quandary. That's probably one of my biggest achievements so far in my life, which I really like the state. And then the third one, it is the state that I'm actually going to be back at, which is Florida. And I really like that one too. We're actually going to for our trip, road trip, and we gonna head out tomorrow at 6 a.m., which I really like. Think that I'm gonna see the other part of America, because of you guys helped me a lot. I went for a West Coast trip. That was actually really, really fun. I mean, it is hard to describe how good it was to be on a West Coast trip, but I haven't seen all of like I guess the southern states kind of thing, so we are going to be at Nashville. We're gonna visit the famous Broadway Street, and we'll do some like whiskey distillery stuff. I'm 24 years old now, which I can legally drink no 40s anymore, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so yeah, that's my answer to that.
I'm so happy that you're of legal age now to experience all those things. Have you tried spotted cow here yet?
Yeah, I tried spotted cow, and actually Moonman is my favorite one, and it's only in Wisconsin thing. And yeah, big shout out to New Glarus Brewery.
I love it. All right, how did reconnecting with old friends or your host family feel after so long?
All right, so yeah, obviously reconnecting with old family, which is Danny and Eric, felt absolutely, I mean, the best way that it could have gone, Actually, yeah, it is just the best feeling you can possibly have, Yeah, I mean, that is emotional a lot, but yeah, I treat them as my, second family, and that's just the thing. So it felt absolutely beautiful. And when it comes to the friends, it is pretty hard to catch up on them, because they are mainly gone in like other places in US, which is so I went to Central, and I'm a Red Raider, not a River Hawk, right? Just to be clear. And yeah, so basically, then all of the people went somewhere. Like some of them are in Washington DC. The other guy went to Army and is in Texas. So we were doing some kind of like a party, and I tried to get them over, but they're just having their lives, I guess. And yeah, but I'm still in touch with some of them, which is the thing that it should go. So yeah.
You tell we're going to Central.
Oh yeah. So Danny just here. I get a message on my little speaker in my ear. And I actually visited Central the second day that I got here, and that was really pure vibe that I had, to be in a place where I was like 6 years ago, and to say hi to the teachers, all the nice people out there. And actually, one of the PE teachers, his last name is Olsen, but I don't know if that's important at all. But he was like screaming from the other side of the hall, Mickey, and he, hugged me, and the feeling was just perfect. So yeah, I went back to Central. Yeah, I like everything about it except they changed the Red Raiders for Riverhawks. I still feel like a Red Raider. I got the flag from like some lady, and it's probably worth money. So I better not talk about it.
All right, how about, were there any foods or experiences you craved that you finally got to enjoy again when you came back?
All right, so I'm gonna start with experiences. So yeah, because Eric is my host dad, and he's pure American. So we got to shoot guns again. The shooting guns is one of the things that you cannot do as freely. That the word, yeah, yeah, freely, and in Poland, in like rest of the Europe. And this is the thing that you can actually do in US, and you can feel like a pure American, to shoot AR-15 and other guns. And I really like the feeling, and yeah, I guess I'm really good at it, so I'm having a lot of fun. Claudia had the opportunity to do it, herself, and she really liked it a lot. So yeah, when it comes to experiences, I would say shooting guns. But when it comes to food and restaurants and the food that I was craving, Buzzer Willis is the answer for this one. Actually, I was getting like one burger all the time when I was in here, and this time when we went before like some kind of river walk thing, I get two try vacation. Jambalaya, I think it was called, and I really liked it. I like the possibilities place. I mean, I'll keep that place in my head for a long time, for sure.
Okay, I got one last question. How has your exchange experience influenced your life back home over these last 6 years? Like, what have you been doing?
Like I said before, I mean, it's life-changing experience, so I guess it is kind of connected with the first question, but it changed me as a person a lot. Like I said, I'm down for everything. I feel like I'm really open-minded person, and I mean, being in touch with people, like Daniel, like Eric, we try to talk a lot with each other, probably like once a month or something, just not only for keeping my English, but just for staying in touch. Obviously, it gave me English too, so I can use it wherever I want. Yeah. And
English speakers at the spa.
Yeah, you.
yeah, actually, so I'm gonna smoothly move up to the thing that I'm doing right now. I guess you guys are really interested in what I'm doing right now, are you? All right, so I work in in an office, as an accountant. But other than that, I'm still doing the sauna thing, which is waving the towel, and doing the ceremonies in the spa zone. It's really hard to explain until you get to experience that. So yeah, actually the rough is, yeah, it is not PG at all. So I'm not gonna, talk about more about it. But that's like the socializing part of my week, and I get to use my English a lot over there. It is really not likely to have Americans over there, but like British people and other English speakers. So I guess I'm using my English all the time, and yeah, that's one of the things that exchange gave me. So yeah, again, I'm just really grateful to all of you guys. I will keep the birthday present that you guys gave me, the balloons. You remember that, Laura? Yeah.
I worked really hard on those balloons.
Oh, yeah. And that was my, opportunity to go on a West Coast trip and see all of these nice places, the breathtaking places like Grand Canyon and other Yosemite national parks and stuff. So yeah, that's the way it is. So.
Does anyone have any questions for Mickey?
Go ahead.
You speak really well. Yeah, I think so. I mean, man, I think you're.
Did my best.
Did Claudia want to say anything?
Any questions?
Favorite
Somebody?
place in Prague? Where's your favorite place?
Culver's.
Always. The butter burgers. Did you have one? You probably have.
There you go.
So yeah, we went to Calvers for like 3 times. I guess glad they really liked it, so I had to go another 2 times. But I'm not getting Calvers anymore. We're gonna get some other places to eat too. Yeah. So, but yeah. Danny is feeling out very well, so that's amazing.
All right, well, I'm really glad that you came to visit us, and it's really nice to keep in touch with all of our youth exchange students. So we'll look forward to your next visit. A few years.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming. Okay, I gotta get ready. All right, hold on. Okay. Okay, our first lady up is gonna be one of our newest members. Angela is gonna talk all about her life, and then she'll explain why this song is just so fitting for her. So everyone welcome Angela, who's gonna speak first. Okay.
Well, my name is Angela Hellmeyer, and I became an official member in January. I started coming here, in October. My good friend Jolie brought me along, and, I was hooked. So I will start my presentation, try not to ramble, which is kind of what I do, but okay, I'm gonna start with my education. It's a get to know me, so. top left picture, is where I went to high school in Chautauqua, Wisconsin. And, Chautauqua was a great place to grow up. Love Chautauqua, love it. And then I got my undergrad at UW La Crosse. And then I got my master's degree, at Silver Lake College in servant leadership. So it was kind of fitting that I ended up here. It's teacher / servant leadership. So I got a degree from UW La Crosse in K-12 choral music education. So then I got my master's in, like I said, in servant teacher leadership. All right, this is my family. Upper left is my son Jacob, my oldest, and it's his birthday today, and he turned 28 today. And that is his fiance, Alex, sitting next to him, and they got engaged this past fall. And so I'm looking forward to a wedding, and she is a wonderful, wonderful person, and I don't have any daughters. So she's like the daughter I never had. Middle picture is my husband, Gordy, and he is also a retired teacher. He graduated from UWL, and he taught K-12 Phy-Ed, driver's ed, and health. And we love Oktoberfest, as you can see. Upper right corner, that is my son Dylan, and his girlfriend Meg, and they live in LA. Oh, I forgot to say, Jacob lives in La Crosse. Jacob and Alex live in La Crosse, and Jacob is on his way to becoming a plumber. So, Dylan, he's 24, and he lives in LA, and he works at an LA art movement company, which is a big storage facility for priceless works of art. And so what he does is Sting will call, Sting or Courtney Cox or Tristan Thompson or Jamie Lee Curtis will call and say, you know, I think I'd like to trade out my Renoir for my Picasso. So if you could do that for us. And so Dylan takes the Picasso, goes to Jamie Lee Curtis's house, puts up the Picasso in her house, and then takes the Renoir back to her, or back to their company. So he has met a lot of celebrities. He doesn't care that much, but I am a celebrity junkie, I guess. So he'll call and say, Mom, guess whose house I'm at? And last week he was at, if you ever watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he was at Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s house last week, and he said they're really nice people, and he spent the day with them. Spent a whole day with Jamie Lee Curtis, and he and I both love horror movies, so that was the big one for him. So that's Dylan, and Dylan is also a musician. He writes his own songs, and he has put together a band in LA, and they've been getting quite a lot of gigs, and maybe even have a recording contract coming up here. So cross your fingers. Bottom right, that's my youngest son, Nicholas. He's I'll just tell you the story because it's funny. And it might be TMI. Does everybody want some TMI? Okay, I got pregnant with Nicholas after my husband had a vasectomy. So he is my miracle baby, and he is just a wonderful human being, just a wonderful human being. And that is his girlfriend, Haley. Nicholas is going to UW-Madison for political science and law. And I'm hoping he'll be the next president someday. And his girlfriend is going to be a commercial airline pilot. So she could fly Air Force One. And, you know, for the president, Nicholas Roweller. But no, all three of my kids and their significant others and my husband, they're all just really good people. And that was important to me raising my children, is that I just wanted them to be good human beings, you know, and happy. And all the other stuff could come, but to be a good human, and they're all really good humans. And so that makes my heart very happy. And those are my girls. I guess I do have girls on the bottom left there. Sophie's the old girl on the bottom. She's 12, and Sansa from Game of Thrones, Lady Sansa Hurlmeyer, we call her. She just turned 1, and she's a pistol. So that is my family, whom I love very much, and very proud of my family. And my career. So as I said, I got a choral degree from UW La Crosse. And my first teaching job was in DeSoto, Wisconsin, just down the road. And that's where I met my husband. He was teaching there as well. And after about 4 years in DeSoto, I taught 7-12 music. And there was, when I got there, my first job, there was 8 kids in choir. And I came from, big choir, and so it was a little daunting. But by the time I left, I had about 50 kids in choir, and we were putting on musicals and a show choir and all that kind of stuff. So when you're young and you have a lot of energy, there's a lot of things you can do. So I left DeSoto and moved to Glenwood City in 1995. Well, my husband and I moved to Glenwood City, and that is up north between, I'd say it's like right between Menominee and Hudson on I-94. So it's about 2.5 hours north of here. And I taught there for the next 28 years. And I retired from Glenwood City. This will be my 3rd summer of retirement, and my husband's as well. We both retired at the same time. He was at the same school as me, where I taught K-12 music. I taught K1, K2, 3, and 5 general music, 6th grade choir, 7th and 8th grade choir, high school choir, show choir, vocal jazz, student council advisor, and directed the all-school musical. So I was a little busy, but it's nice to be retired. That's my choir my last year. Very small school of about 198 kids total, 9 through 12. And I had just about half the kids in choir with a nice big boys section, which is really nice. And that bottom left is my last musical that I directed at Glenwood City. We really put on big productions, and I really, really enjoyed all that. I was the vocal director, artistic director, choreographer, props, set, costumes. You know how it is in a small school. And I would get some parent help, but it was a lot of work, but very much worth it. And anybody guess what my last musical was? Joseph, an Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And my son Nicholas was Joseph. And it wasn't nepotism. He seriously was the best singer. Right, Jolene? So Jolene can vouch for me. But when my kids were trying out, there were other people on the panel that made the final decision. So it wasn't nepotism. It was genetics. And okay, so I retired in 2022. And moved to La Crosse. My husband Gordon and I moved back to La Crosse. We always said we were going to retire here, and we did. And we're just so glad to be here. Life is very good. We both work at Riverside Transitional Care at Bethany Riverside. I work in the kitchen, a dietary aide, and I also play for their church services in their memory care units, play and sing for the church services in the memory care units. And I also work at the Macintosh Memorial Library in Viroqua, and my boss is Jolene's daughter. Jolene's daughter won a grant for technology for the underserved population, and so I applied for the job, got it, and since January, I've been teaching senior citizens just to be digital literate. So they come in, I do classes. My last class was on how to organize your Google Photos. And I also do office hours where they just come in and they have problems that they want me to solve. And I, by no means, am a technology expert, but I'm a very good teacher. And so I have a lot of good resources that I can use, and we've solved a lot of problems. But it's been so rewarding, so rewarding. I mean, they're so excited when, you change their font so that they can actually read it, things like that. They're just so excited, and it's just given me so much joy to be able to do that. And Friday is my last day doing that. So then I will just be down to the one job, I guess, right? Is it all the jobs that I have? Okay. All right. So that is my career. And then these are the things that feed my soul. And the reason that our president played Somewhere Over the Rainbow is that when I moved back to La Crosse in, what year was it, Brandon? 2023, that's it. I tried out at the Lacrosse Community Theater for the Wizard of Oz. And I was cast as Glinda the Good Witch and Auntie M. And that's where I met Brandon, because he was the Tin Man, and he was fabulous. If you didn't see it, oh my God, he's incredible. And I made a whole bunch of really good friends, and it was so fun. I love singing and I love doing musical theater. I love performing. It's my passion and it brings me joy and fills my cup. The top left photo is a girl group that I have, and we're called Mood Swing. Those of you that are a little older, maybe like me, would understand. They were called Mood Swing. But next to that, and we just performed, that picture actually was taken when we were opening for Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul and Mary. So that was like a big deal for us. And the one next to it on the right of it is, I've played Patsy Cline in 4 different venues. There's a musical called Always Patsy Cline with 27 Patsy Cline songs and like 20 costume changes. And I've done that 4 different places. So that's been my favorite musical of all to do, to sing Patsy Cline. And then I love the Packers, try to go to as many games as possible. And I actually sang the national anthem at a Packer game at Lambeau Field, Packer Bear game. So that's kind of like one of my favorite things to talk about. And there's Wizard of Oz, actually too. And I also love to golf. And we bought a pontoon when we moved here, and I love to just hang out on the pontoon, go down to Lawrence Lake and have steak fried Friday nights. So those are things that feed my soul. And swimming. All right, try not to be boring here. Okay, and this is my Rotary experience so far, since becoming a member. I know most of you have heard about our trip to Valladolid for the water filtration systems and the water purification, excuse me, and cooking stoves. And that was had a huge impact on my life in so many ways. I joined Rotary because my friend Jolene asked me to come along to a meeting, and the first night I was here, Bill was here and talked about the Mexico trip. And being retired, I love to travel. So I'm like, oh, trip. I said, Jolene, we should go. And she's like, yeah, okay. And then we ended up going, and it was a great experience, very humbling. And it just pulls on your heartstrings, and you realize how good you have it, and to not take anything for granted, and to not complain about your life, because things are a lot different in other places. I did the 5K ugly sweater. I worked at that. I've done I did the highway cleanup. And of course, my favorite picture is the blue ribbon up there on the top right. That's my favorite, because I won the soup contest at Rotary. So that was a big deal, because I do love to cook. So pictures of people from the Valladolid Rotary Club. And then I did Pints for Polio, and I feed too. So I've been trying to get really active in it, because I feel that life is better when you serve others. Life has more meaning when you serve others. And I don't know, I feel like that was my life's calling, is to serve others, and it brings me such joy, and I'm just really glad to be a part of this Rotary Club. And through our Mexico trip, I made some really strong friendship bonds with the people that went, and we meet once a month for our chicken pizza club, we call it, because Stephanie didn't know how to pronounce Chichen Itza when we went to the ruins. Well, she did, but it was just kind of a joke. She knew. And so we meet once a month at a Mexican restaurant, and we have to learn at least one sentence of Spanish to say to each other when we get there, because we're trying to better ourselves and learn how to speak Spanish. So we've been pretty good at that, haven't we?
Muy bueno.
Gracias. So, that's really fun. I just enjoy the friendships that I've made here, and I enjoy getting to know you, Rotarians, a lot more in the future. And I want to Thank you for having me in your club, and I look forward to many more years in Rotary, so thank you.
Oh, how do you top that? I know how. Hang on. Oh,
What's your one outside?
hold on.
You gotta listen to the ad.
Oh, here he comes. This is great. Yeah, Ryan Bourne, who is one of our charter members. You're gonna explain all about your life. No, you gotta say this a little longer. Yes. All right.
All right, yeah, you're good.
Well, hello, everyone. I know most everyone here. Got it?
Got it.
My name is Ryan Bourne. I am one of the founding members of our club, about 13 years ago now. Rest of you know, Dave.
2011.
2011, 6 of us got together at the bodega and decided we wanted to do something different than the standard Rotary clubs around town. And this is what it's turned into. And I can't tell you like how amazing it is to see our membership has grown from 6 to how many now? 55 total members. So I mean, that's just tremendous growth. I'm really happy that our model of after hours has fostered other clubs around the world now. They've done the exact same thing we've done. So we were the model for that. And now we've got other clubs doing young professional clubs, after hours, whatever you want to call it, all around the world. So you guys should be really, really proud of that. So I put a quote up here, that kind of, it's something I've always had, but it really embodies what Rotary is about. And I think we're all leaders in this room, and it's because of what we've inspired others to do. I think everyone here is probably a member of Rotary because you were inspired by something that you saw someone else doing. That made you a leader. So just keep that in mind. Okay, my family. I grew up here in La Crosse, went to Aquinas High School. My father was a surgeon at Gunderson. My mom was a programmer at IBM. I've got 2 sisters. I'm the oldest. My sister Amy is a teacher down in Iowa. And my sister Haley followed in my dad's footsteps. She's a surgeon out in Manhattan. So she's a really, really amazing surgeon out there. I've got 2 children, Callie and Harrison. Harrison's 11 now, Callie is 7. Absolute love of my life. They're my, I call them my whys. Why I do everything is for those 2 kids. My partner is Alicia, she's an RN male. We've been together for a while now, but hopefully you guys will all meet her sometime soon. But that's just kind of my family at this point in time, so. Some throwback pictures here. Over there on the left-hand side, you'll see me in my little, I call them my Minkus, if anyone wants Boy Meets World, my Minkus glasses. And then pictures of my parents with their grandkids. Over there on the right, you'll see if anyone used to go to the studio here in town, the amazing poses they used to put you in over there. And then in the lower right there, picture of myself with my younger sister Amy. So I would have been 2.5 in that picture there. So yeah, growing up in this area was absolutely amazing. I remember running around the country club with Marissa when we were younger, and yeah, so my parents were good friends with Dean here and his wife, so. Education, both my parents went to University of Illinois. Not the reason I necessarily went there. I went there for computer science. I was always interested in technology and stuff as a kid. Went away to University of Illinois, went there from 2001 to 2005. Absolutely amazing experience down there. Was highly involved in social events down there. I was the vice president of the largest Greek system in the United States. So we had 54 fraternities, 27 sororities, 14,000 Greek members down there. Still is the largest Greek system in the United States. So I was vice president of that for many years. I was the house manager of my fraternity house for 4 years, which basically meant we had 54 bedrooms in our fraternity house. It was a 13,000 square foot house. You don't know the number of ways that a toilet can break until you live in a fraternity house. So I've been able to, I learned a lot about having my own house and fixing things, living there for 4 years, but it was an amazing experience. My career, currently I serve in 2 different positions. I'm a partner and systems integration director at Identity Works. That is a company, it's a brand merchandise company. We run swag stores, merch, tchotchkes, whatever you want to call them. We run major corporate programs for branded merchandise around the United States and around the world. So companies like Google, Adobe, rely on us for their branded merchandise, their apparel, swag, whatever you call it. So I've been there since 2005. I just celebrated my 20th anniversary there with the company. About 2 years ago, we've been working on a technology solution there for about 18 years. And about 2 years ago, we decided to break off and spin off that technology product into a product called Brand Urban Tech. So we launched that actually this year. It's a software as a service for our industry. So for 23,000 other customers or companies like Identity Works in our industry, we provide technology solutions to them. So I serve as partner and vice president of that company currently as well. It's an amazing company. I love it. I always say it's all about the team up there. But every day is a little bit different. I mean, we're making shirts one day for Google and pens the next day for a pharmaceutical company. It's allowed me to network with a lot of amazing people around the country, and has also provided a lot for me and my family. So something I said that for a very long time. We've got a lot of amazing team members over the past many years. Lori France over there used to work for us for a few years, and a few other people from Roger work with us as well. My interests, besides not having any time due to my 2 young kids, I do try to do a few things. I love golf and I love skiing. Golf, the upper left-hand picture there is a picture of my father and I went to the Ryder Cup over Whistling Straits back in 2020 when it was, seemed like it was yesterday. Went there. I try to play golf as much as I can during the summer. It's my stress relief. There's nothing like hitting a little white ball as hard as you possibly can to relieve the stress from the day. Skiing is my other thing. I was Wisconsin state champion skier for downhill skiing back in 2000. And have gotten the kids both from skiing. Those are pictures of me and Harrison actually when he was a lot younger. So had to take a year off from skiing this year when I tore my ACL, skiing on Colorado. First run, first day of a vacation, and that thing was gone. So rehabbing right now, hopefully that be back on the slopes next year. Lower left-hand corner there is cooking. Cooking is something that, man, for a lot of years, I cooked a lot. And then when the kids were growing up and stuff, I did not have the opportunity to cook nearly as much at that point in time. My wife at the time did a lot of that cooking, but it's something I've really gotten back into now. My partner Alicia and I absolutely love cooking. We love finding new recipes, stuff that we could easily mess up and be like, hey, let's try it. And if we have to order pizza at the end of the night, we'll easily do that. So, but do love cooking. I'd say I'm a foodie. Whenever I get to travel a fair amount for work. Finding new restaurants out there is one of my favorite things to do in another city. I'd much rather not go to like some convention or banquet or something like that. I'd rather just find a hole in the wall in the middle of Chicago or Nashville or wherever and try it out. Travel is probably my biggest interest. I was very, very fortunate growing up. My parents instilled a huge love of travel in both me and my siblings. growing up, I've been very fortunate to see a lot of the world. But as we all know, there's a lot of the world still to see, and we'll get over there, you're end of the world right now too, so that's in the plans, so.
5,500 miles away.
Yeah, so, but I've been very fortunate to see a lot of the United States. When I was younger, we did traveling to do a lot of scuba diving, so I've done a lot in the Caribbean. Been to Tahiti a couple times there for scuba diving there. But honestly, there's some of my favorite cities in the country or in the world I love. Chicago's one of my favorites. I'll go down to Chicago anytime anyone wants. We'll eat our way through the city and have a really great time. I have been fortunate to find a partner, in Alicia, who absolutely loves traveling as well. So we're both making up for lost time, and we've got a lot of trips planned in the next year. So, next, in a week and a half, I guess, we're leaving for Barcelona for 3 days and then Italy for a week after that. So we've got that coming up. And then soon after that, we've got, up there in the upper left-hand corner, we've got a picture of Banff, Lake Louise. And we're gonna go there. And then in February of next year, we're going to Galapagos. So we certainly are trying to just take the time to go do those fun things while we can. So travel is absolutely one of my favorite things to do. I just feel like you can learn so much about other people, about other cultures by actually going and doing it, not just reading about it. So Rotary, I talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but there's 3 main things that I've loved about Rotary. And that's networking and meeting people around the town that you're in, the state that you're in, the country that you're in, or lucky for us, we can meet people from around the world. We're so very lucky to have visiting Rotarians to come into our clubs. And it's one of those things when you go to another country, you can always find a Rotary club to go to. And I highly encourage you to do that. Not only do you get to see the ways they do things differently, but you get to see the things that they are doing to impact their local communities. We've been very lucky here in our club that we've sponsored some great global initiatives. And those really make a massive impact. So you're part of something much bigger than just La Crosse, Wisconsin. Leadership opportunities, we saw the board that got announced tonight. Thank you to all those people who step up to do that. I personally have not had the time for many years now to step up and be able to do that, but I try to get involved where I can. But having that on your resume is something that people see. And there's so many Rotarians around the world that if they see that, they can relate to you instantly. And it gives you that ability to show that you were a leader in the club, in your state, or even your district, wherever it may be. We've had a lot of great district leaders from this club already, and I think we have a few more rising ones from the area. We have an assistant governor in the area now, don't we? And were you governor or assistant?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, okay. Marissa, what was it? You won't tell me. He was district governor, so you can rise up as high as you want to go. There will always be an opportunity to learn and to lead in Rotary. And that's a massive opportunity for anyone who's trying to grow their career, grow their family, whatever it may be. And the volunteer opportunities. Some of my best memories are from Rotary events, whether it be the Ugly Sweater 5K, and you're running around town like chickens with their heads cut off trying to get stuff done that night, or leading up to it, to building that greenhouse. That is a massive crowning achievement. Or just their day. Driving around town, you see the Rotary, the mobile clinic. The number of lives that is impacted, but we had a part in that. And there's not many people in the town that can say they had parts in that many major initiatives like that really affected our area. So when you're at those volunteers, take a step back. I liked when you said you just like to wake up in the morning and look at the sun. Take a step back when you're at those things and be like, wow, we did this. And just take it in, because that's a huge gift that life is giving you and Rotary is giving you to allow you to participate in things like that. And of course, friendship. 55 great solid friends is not a bad thing to have. So the pictures you see up here in the lower left-hand corner, if you could see me holding Harrison down there, Harrison was about,
I think he was like only 6 months.
yeah, 6 to 8 months there.
You were the original bring your baby to Rotary after hours.
Yeah. And Meg, one of our current members now still, you can see her holding Harrison there. But then like in the upper right-hand corner, people we all know, sitting there having a drink after a very successful Rotary 5K. And then the end polio events, that Pines for Polio, or just that together, when we get together to celebrate those wins. There's people in that picture are from Rotary clubs from all over town. It wasn't just us. I've made lifelong friends with some of those people there in that picture, but they weren't in this club. This club spreads a lot more than just 55 people we have in it, so. I'm not a man of many words, so I'm gonna keep it short and just end here. I guess if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer anything you want to know. If I didn't cover it, but otherwise.
Got a question?
Sure.
On your travel photo, where was the bottom of your photo?
Bottom right. That was actually, let's see, back in January, Alicia and I went there for New Year's. That was down in Cabo. So. We decided to rent a boat one day and go out and just get away from the massive crowds of people, and it was a good day, so. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where's your favorite place that you ever scuba dived?
Oh, man. Tahiti is awesome for shark diving. Absolutely love that. But honestly, the Blue Hole down at Belize, it's a massive, it's about, yeah, 300 feet across, and about 600 feet deep. It's this massive hole. You're going along the ocean and it's like 40 feet depth. So it's like the crystal blue water that you see in like this picture here at the bottom of the center. Just beautiful water. And then you just see this perfectly round, dark blue hole. And when you're diving at like 40 feet and all of a sudden it just drops out below you. It was a really cool, awesome experience. My dive master took me out into the middle of the hole once we were down at about 100 feet. And he pointed me back to home, and then he left, and you're just sitting there and you're just floating in the middle of nothing. You can see up, it's just a haze, and see around, you can't see anything around you, can't see anything below you. And you're literally just floating there. And it was just a surreal experience. So. Anything else? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing me to do this today. And now I'm gonna pass it over to the Godfather.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
That's we got another thing. This is the best song in the world. All right, so how do you put 42 years into 10 minutes? I don't think you don't. Or do, so we are gonna go a little over, and I think it's really important to hear Dean's Rotary journey. And it gives me kind of goosebumps just because I think it's a really special time. that We have Marissa here, we also have your son Tyler online to listen. So it's gonna be a great Young and the Restless, do I remember that song? That's what you did. You said that one. All right, you ready?
Oh, we didn't need to do the slide.
Thank you very much.
You need me to click, or are you done?
You're gonna press it for me. Yeah.
What's in the middle?
What's that?
What's in the middle?
Just don't track. The title of my comments to you tonight are The Life and Times of Dean Dickinson. Far less about me than it is about the context in which I grew up. In order for you to understand where I'm coming from, I want to share with you the definition of context from my point of view. It's the circumstances that form the setting for my life. And as a part of that, the second word that I would really appreciate you understanding is the word dynamic. Dynamic is a process, a number of processes that tended to move me along through life. They were very important, and
some of you might want to try to count them as we go along, because there's any number of them. So here we go. I was born on October 20th, 1945. That's the beginning of the context. Now, what's significant about that in terms of dynamics? Well, actually, the dynamics started in 1929, 16 years before I was born. It was the crash of the market. The Great Depression started. Unemployment rates ran from 3% in 1929 all the way up to 30%. You imagine the population of this country, 30% unemployed. It was a terrible time. How did that impact me? Well, it impacted me because my mom and my dad were 4 and 9 years old at the time. They lived through that. They lived kind of at a subsistence level of farming up in the Augusta, Wisconsin area. And it had such an impact on their lives that it carried over into the way I was raised. A great appreciation of the work ethic, that nothing is absolutely permanent. That the Depression, I can remember well in the 50s when the family got together, there was always the threat that the Depression was going to come back again. The second thing that happened was the war. World War II started in December of 1941, 4 years before I was born. How did that impact me? Well, it impacted all of society. 2 million people went off to the war, and all of a sudden the unemployment problem was solved. But the problem was the factories and other businesses needed labor. And who did they turn to? They turned to housewives. And it was a real movement on the part of women into a different type of lifestyle. And you know the story of Rosie Riveter. I'll allude to that whole situation just a little bit further on into my presentation. There I am, September of 1950. If you counted the dates, I was 4 years old. And my mother started me in school. She obviously wanted me out of the house. And along about that same time, in 1952, I was only 6 or 7 years old at the time, maybe 6 years old at the time. 57,000 cases of polio, with 3,145 kids dying. That's a dynamic that moved me along through life in many ways, right up into the time when I got involved in Rotary. We all know that story. Salk and Sabin developed their vaccines in the 1950s. And but during that time, my parents, in order to keep me safe, because I was a rambunctious kid, I was out on the street. We did things like that back then. We went on the street, we roamed the neighborhood. Mom didn't let us stay in the house and, hang around. We got out and did things. Sometimes there were good things and sometimes there were naughty things. Ironically, when I got home, my mother knew all about it, because the mother's mafia there on the north side just let my mother know he hasn't been a very nice little boy. So I spent a lot of time during the 50s, 55, all the way up until the time I was 14 years old, out on the farm. I thought it was ostensibly to teach me how to work, and I did. My grandpa had me on a tractor when I was 10 years old. He was scared to death, but he used me, and I'll never forget the night that my mother came to pick me up and take me home. I was supposed to be sleeping. My grandpa said I couldn't have got it done without Dean. It was the first time in my life that I realized that I had a value over and beyond myself. Somebody else needed me. That was incredible. My grandma and grandpa were wonderful people, and that was the farm that I worked on. Well, anyway, another set of dynamics, 1950 to 55. I just want to share with you that it was a time of the emergence of the civil rights movement, and it started in a lot of ways. But in 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education declared that separate but equal was not fair, and it needed to be dealt with, and that led itself to integration. And that whole civil rights movement got a kickoff on that deal. My hero at the time, well, first of all, I got to back up. When I was a little boy, little boys could have dolls. It wasn't a transgender thing, it was just the way it was. So little boys could have dolls. And I had a doll, and it happened to be a little black doll, and I loved my little black doll. And so a little bit later on in my life, a guy by the name of Henry Aaron came out of Mobile, Alabama, I think it was. He was playing for the Mud Hens down there. He played at Eau Claire with the Eau Claire Braves at Carson Park. And I was just enamored with that guy. He was my hero, Henry Hank Aaron. We'll go to the next slide. This is very brief. This is my 7th grade class, and the guy in the upper left-hand corner is a fellow named Albert Brassman, and I'll come back to him momentarily. He's a dynamic. He was somebody who had a tremendous influence upon my life. I went through that picture this morning, and I know just everybody in that picture. And I can tell you that 14 or 50 of them have died, and they're gone, and I know who they are, so. Well, there I am, looking pretty nerdy. And just one observation, you can go back to that. The kid in the lower right-hand corner, the kid by the name of Paul Hansen, he happened to be the son of the minister at the Trinity Lutheran Church there on the north side. Paul was absolutely brilliant, even back then. When he was in 7th grade, he was doing math at the 9th and 10th grade levels. He went, left here and they went to Mason City, Iowa. He ended up being an all-state basketball player down there. He went on and got degrees at the University of Chicago, taught out in California. I've had an opportunity to talk with Paul. He's just really a great guy. Well, in 1961, here's another dynamic. I attended a church convention in Miami. And the important thing, the dynamic there is that a featured speaker was a young black pastor by the name of Martin Luther King Jr. Imagine that, having an opportunity to listen to that young guy. And was it 8 years later, he was shot to death. There's a story under the whole of that. There's another guy in that picture, his name is Sam Hagerin. He was a scout leader at Camp Decorah. And the night that I got tapped out for this camper society or Boy Scout society, called the Order of the Earl, Sam's intoned, the servant of all is the greatest of all, or the greatest of all is the servant of all. And I just come back to what Ryan Warren said with regard to leadership development in and through Rotary. Everything he said was fine, but I would insert one word in front of that, and that is servant leadership. It's the only model of leadership that works in Rotary. It's the only model. There's nothing about being a governor or even the president of Rotary International that lends itself to the idea that you're an autocrat and you're running things. You're not. The servant leader makes everybody else come up, raises everybody up, and that's the model of Rotary leadership. But Sam Hagerman, just a quick story. In my Eagle Scout class, there was a guy by the name of Jay Johnson from West Salem. Jay wanted to be he wanted to service and be a pilot. He became a pilot, not out of the Air Force Academy, but out of the Naval Academy. Jay Johnson from West Salem ended up being Chief of Staff of the United States Navy and on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Imagine that, from West Salem, Wisconsin. We gave him the Distinguished Eagle Award, and the night he came, first of all, I asked his entourage, what kind of guy is he? He said, the greatest guy in the world. Jay got up to give his award, he looked out in the room, and he looked at Sam Hageman, and he said, that man, other than my own father, had the most impact on me in my life. Sam Hageman probably never made $20,000 a year, but he influenced the lives of thousands of kids, including me. So I cherish him. Well, yeah, there I am. Vietnam, 70, 71. What's the dynamic and the lessons learned there? I learned how other people in other parts of the world live. I took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me there in Vietnam, believe it or not. I traveled up to Hong Kong on one R&R, hooked up with a friend from lacrosse who was a dentist there. We did another R&R down to Australia. My roommate was a kid named Jack Talkington who won the Silver Star. I tell you what, you don't win the Silver Star by walking through the woods. Well, as a matter of fact, he showed me his one. It was a shot through the buttocks. He said, how do I go back and tell my VFW post I got the Silver Star for getting shot in the ass? It wasn't like that. Jack was a tremendous hero. Ironically, I was watching true crime stories. There was a series of places like Quick Trip down in the Tucson, Arizona area that were getting knocked off. The arresting officer, Jack Talkington. You know, I mean, how ironic is that? I'm watching TV years later and there he is. Okay, next picture. Well, aside from all this, in 1973, a couple things happened. Well, 1970, I joined the Rotary Club of Lacrosse in 1973. I was invited by Dick Bates, my insurance agent, a guy by the name of Tom Golden, who was also an insurance agent. And so I joined the Rotary Club of Lacrosse, and we were meeting in the Sauter Hotel in the Crystal Ballroom. And we're a club of about 80 members, and there was no such thing as a lot of service outside of that club. It was a lunch club. And it was up for networking, and the basic premise that founded Rotary was about networking. It was business networking, and I'll come back to that in a minute too. I also got married. That was very important. Very important. Well, in 1983 through 2002, a couple of things happened. First of all, my daughter was born 10 years after I joined the Rotary Club. And my observation about that is when a man has a daughter, the daughter will turn a man into a human being. And my daughter's punchline is, yeah, Dad, you're still a work in progress. Well, anyway, at that point in time, my wife and I decided that Thursday, being my normal day off every other week, I had every other Thursday off, every other weekend off in my job, that I would spend it with our daughter. And then subsequently, her brother was born, and until these kids were through kindergarten, and I was done being the class daddy for the kindergarten class, I dropped out of Rotary from 1983 to 1993. Well, in 2002, I took my retirement from the Dickinson Family Funeral Homes that had been started by my parents back in 1955. I had not intended, I don't know if there's a slide on that, I had not intended to be a funeral director. I was going to either go into the Navy and travel the world, that sounded like a lot of fun, or I was going to be a cook. How about that, Brian Bourne? I wanted to be a cook. And that was my second merit badge in scouting. Reading was my first, cooking was my second. But anyway, I took a retirement in 2002. Now, there's a dynamic in that. I was sitting at the Rotary Club, having lunch, and a guy by the name of Dave Russell, was vice chancellor of UWL, said, well, Dean, I hear you talking about retirement, and I know what you're retiring from. What are you retiring to? Well, that was an interesting question. In 2001 and 2002, I was president of the Gateway Council of the Boy Scouts. That occupied my time. I had been asked if I wanted to be the president of our club. And I couldn't do both at the same time, so I thought that was an opportunity that passed me by. But in fact, I no more than finished my term as president of the council, and Mike Harding called and said, Dean, how would you like to be president of Downtown Club? It just was perfect. I retired in 2002, and I made being the president of the club a full-time job. I had no intention of being the district governor. You know, the district governor was a guy that came, and that was a program I could miss if I wanted. You know, I didn't need to listen to these guys. Who the heck are they? But I was prevailed upon by Bob Bennington and Sharon Imes, and they said, Dean, you need to sit for that interview. Well, I did, and I didn't get it. They turned me down. I don't know what the deal was. I sort of know what the deal was, but I didn't get it. Well, about 4 months later, 5 months later, Bennington and Imes came to me and said, you gotta sit again. I said, no, they had their kicks at the cat, and I'm done. No, they said, you gotta sit. So I went and sat, and by the golly, they made me just the governor. And my comment to them was, look, I'm gonna give you everything I got. That's all I can promise you. I'm just gonna give you everything I got. I'll do the very best that I can. And it was a wonderful year for me. I had the opportunity to travel and visit all those clubs, 63 clubs at the time. My comment was based on the theme for that year. The future of Rotary is in your hands. That was John Kenny out of England or Scotland. That was his theme. Future of Rotary is in your hands. And you know something? I think it's the most profound theme that Rotary has ever had or ever will have, because the one we've got this year is the last one we're ever going to have. They've decided to do away with themes, I guess. But the future of Rotary is in your hands, and that's true. Not in the hands of the board or the district governors or anybody. It's right here. It's what we do here in Rotary, like all the other 30-some thousand Rotary clubs around the world. Well, in 2007, I had the opportunity to go to Nigeria for a National Immunization Day. Profoundly important, impactful, and a dynamic in my life. The fellow in the picture where I'm giving this polio vaccine, 3 drops of that vaccine, and you know when you're doing that, you just know that in addition to saving the life of that kid, your life has been changed. Just absolutely profound, because you know that kid's life has been changed forever. The guy, the black guy holding that kid is a guy by the name of Vidal. He's a prince of the Ebony tribe. He's been educated to the law up in England. He and his wife both, and her name is Christine. The guy could have played linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. He was the most beautiful physical human being you'd ever want to see. And I remember a little kid was running away. He saw me, and it might have been the first time he'd ever seen a white guy, and it scared the heck out of him. And he took off, and we all went right after and grabbed him. I can still remember the words, "No, no, little boy, we have something for you." It was profound. And these are some of the people that I was with. Well, in 2010, I had the chance to go to Bolivia. And I went down with a fellow by the name of Dr. David Crane out of the Rotary Club of Chippewa Falls. Significant thing about the Rotary Club of Chippewa Falls and David Crane is that they had heard David Crane, tremendous Catholic presence, had a nephew that was a Catholic priest, and he heard that there was an area outside of Cochabamba, Bolivia, where 30% of the kids were dying by the time they reached the age of 10 because of waterborne disease. And the Rotary Club of Chippewa Falls determined that they were going to put in a water project, and they did. When I went to Bolivia in 2010, I happened to had a chance to talk to the NGO that was running this children's area, and I said, and the impact of that, she said, our kids aren't dying anymore. David Crane. Second thing that David Crane did is he had a group of dentists that came down from the United States for whatever reason, and he prevailed upon them to fluoridate something. They couldn't fluoridate the water because the water supply is horrible down there. They fluoridated the salt. David Crane was instrumental in that. In this case, we're in a place called the burn center. It's a burn center. And kids are falling into the open fires, you know, like you saw when you went down to Mexico, you folks. And the kids are burned terribly. And David Crane said to the nursing staff there, "What can I do for you?" And she said, "We need a refrigerator because our meds need refrigeration. We don't have one." The next morning, David Crane had a refrigerator delivered. When I was district governor, I made David Crane a lifetime achievement guy. I mean, the guy is absolutely phenomenal. He was a real dynamic in my life. In 2011, the Rotary Club of Lacrosse After Hours was chartered. With all due respect to my friend Brian Bourne and his recollection of how all that happened, I will tell you about the real dynamic. I was walking down the street with a young lady by the name of Maria Norberg. Most of you know Maria, as the Grounded Coffee Shop and one thing and another. She had just finished her term as the Rotaractors president here in Lacrosse. And I said, "Maria, how come you folks in your age group aren't joining our clubs?" And she said, "Dean, there's a number of things. First place, we come to the club and we see our moms and dads at best, and we see our grandmas and grandpas at worst. You meet at the wrong time of the day, you're too expensive, we don't even talk the same language." And I said, "Why don't we start a club for you people?" And the district government at that time, trying to think what her name was. Kristen Tucker, yeah. I asked her if we could start a Rotary Club over here. And she made me the special representative. So Maria and I decided we're gonna meet at the Wine Guys. We're each gonna come with 4 or 5 people. And the first meeting we had was 13 people, 13 people. And that went on for about a month or so. We were talking, and then one of the members of that group said, "Dean, we really appreciate you being here, but we wish you sit down and be quiet." His name was Justin Garvey. And you know something, there was a life lesson taught in there too, from a leadership model. Sometimes you've got to sit down and be quiet and let other people do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, I learned that lesson thanks to Justin. So anyway, we chartered it and we had a great time. The next big event in my life, I sat on the nominating committee that nominated our board representative from the 2 zones that we had. And Mary Beth Browning-Celine was one of the candidates, and we got her elected, and I drafted a letter immediately, and I said, "You know, you're responsible for doing 2 institutes. Why don't you do one in Lacrosse?" Now, the interesting thing about that is Lacrosse is really small when it comes to institutes. Normally, they're held in big places and one thing or another, but she said, "Okay, Dean, you can have it." So we had it in Lacrosse, and here's a picture of the Wisconsin zone. And there's 5 guys there, and we cooked that night. We cooked a Cajun dinner. The guy on the far right hand side is a guy named Kim Hall, tremendous Cajun cook. He had a wok that was I swear to you, it was over 4 feet across, and we cooked in that thing. And it was a most miserable Friday night at that time of the year. That was in 2014, September of 2014. But we pulled it off, and one of the featured speakers, there was a woman, and you see her in the middle of that picture with that group. Her name was Ferry Moynihan. Ferry Moynihan is another one of those people that's an inspiration. She and a guy by the name of Steve Brown, who was a member of the foundation board, formed the American University in Afghanistan. 3,000 kids were being educated. I don't know what's happened to that school today. But Ferry Mooney and a guy by the name of Dr. Bill McDade were two of my featured speakers at that institute. A guy by the name of from Sri Lanka, Rothenbrock, had said that he was going to speak 3 times, and I said to his aide, I said, no, he's going to speak 5 times. By golly, he spoke 5 times, and the last time he spoke, he said, this institute had all the makings of a great institute, and what I feel good about is that people who are coming back from the multi-district deal down in Illinois will come back and they'll say, we ran into somebody and they were in lacrosse in 2014 and they're still talking about how wonderful lacrosse was. That wasn't me, it was lacrosse. What a wonderful place lacrosse was to have that thing. In the lower right-hand corner, they recognize her as Jennifer Jones. First time I met her was in Davenport, Iowa, when I was down for my district governor nominee training. And she was coming off an elevator and I was trying to get on and I said to her, she was a trainer, and I said, lady, I want to give you a hug. And it was appropriate because Jennifer really likes huggies. And I stepped back and she said, what was that about? And I said, I want you to know, I just hugged a woman that'll be the first woman president of Rotary International. You believe that? That's the God's honest truth. Well, that bottle, that wine that she's holding up there is a bottle of Cayman. I said, waterfront was about $140 a bottle and she paid for it. So anyway, she's a very, very dear friend. In 2015, I had the chance to do another NID, and this time to India. And it was just the same type of thing. You put those drops, you see moms and dads, but you see sometimes older brothers and sisters bringing their little sibling. And boy, you put them in your arm and go pop, 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 and you realize you've changed their life forever. The neat thing about India and in Nigeria, it was the women who made those NIDs successful. It was the women who were going door to door and making it happen. So anyway, well, the next big thing is our mobile medical clinic. I know I'm running over, but I'll be done here in 2 minutes, I promise you. Mobile medical clinic. What a wonderful, wonderful, incredible project. Jason, Josh Mancy called me and said, I want to have lunch with you. Sat down, he said, I've got an idea. I said, what's that? He said, I want to do a global grant. I said, okay. But the global grant is not going there, it's coming here. And I said, what do you got in mind? He said, look, can we raise $80,000 and do a global grant? And this was the end result of that. We ended up raising $180,000. And $100,000 is on deposit with Rotary Works Foundation. Okay, and that's a group picture. I think it's just down at Riverside Park, maybe something like that. JD Morgan, Josh, myself, Marissa, and
Jason.
yeah, so I turn to the next one now. Well, here we go. The essence of Rotary is in reducing life to the passion and engagement, that purpose of heart that is at once ethical, committed, and purposeful. It's about making room in our lives and our hearts for others. That was Glenn Essence. I said I was going to come back down to Grassland. I kind of forgot about it. When I was a club president, and I had it, then I was with the government. He had given me a poem, and the arrow in the song. I shot an arrow into the air, it fell to earth, I knew not where, for so swiftly flew, I could not follow in its flight. I breathed the song into the air, it fell to earth, I knew not where, but who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward in an oak, I found the arrow, still unbroke, and the song I found again in the heart of a friend. I used that, read the song of service as my theme for my district governor year, and then the district conference, and then again when we did the Zone Institute. Elmer Grassman was very, very instrumental in my life. He's my 7th grade teacher, and he informed me when I was a member of the club, I'm still your teacher and you're still my student. Okay. The essence of Rotary is reducing life to passion and engagement, looking out for other people. Got another slide? Is that the end of it? Well, there you go, folks. The life and times of Dean Dickinson, such as they are. Then you go.
What made you switch from downtown to after
I
hours?
knew you were gonna ask.
Yeah.
Well, let me share this with you. I'm not gonna get right to the very essence of why I left the downtown club. But when I joined Rotary, the thing that I was so struck by is that when we came to the door, all of everything we left there. We left our religious preferences, we left our political preferences, we left race, all of that was left at the door, and we just simply walked through the door and we became Rotarians, and that was it. And I'm just leery of some of the stuff that's going on in Rotary and how it, instead of bringing us together, is actually tending to separate us. And I felt a little bit separated, from the ideals, because Rotary is an ideal. I felt separated from the ideal of Rotary by some of the stuff that was going on. This club, by the way, is just a classic example of what Rotary should be about. But it's also true. I understand there's 4 different personality types, and that one personality type is altruistic, and Rotarians tend to be altruistic. Those of us who are really involved, the ones who care outside of ourselves. And the other extreme is a person who's very self-centered. They still belong to the club maybe, but they don't do jack diddly. You know what I'm saying? It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the club will do stuff and pay for stuff, and the other won't. I mean, so that was part and parcel of my answer. Any other questions?
I thought you just wanted to be around Marissa more.
Yeah, the other part of it is I'm gone 5 months out of the year, and I guess kind of the backbreaker for me down there is I was the foundation chair, and we had a tremendous foundation support going on. And Lynn Sheffer, who was our club administrator, left, and I took over the responsibility she had. And I made some suggestions based on what I saw going on, and Lynn was saying it wasn't a 40-hour workshop, it was 60 and 80 hours a week. And when I presented that to the board, they poo-pooed, they said, no. But I said, I worked it, I know what she was doing, and so then I was scheduled to do a foundation presentation in November, and I was informed that my spot had been taken by something else, and I don't need this. You know, I need to go someplace where people are getting it done, so. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
For the times and Dean Dickinson, which was really awesome and great.
My
Thank you
my
so
brother
much.
did say,
What did your brother say?
Dad's gonna talk for an hour. He's been given 12 minutes.
I mean, you did about 30.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
It was very humbling, very eye-opening, and I think we're really appreciative that you are in our club. Like, we are very happy for all that you do for us here.
Thank you.
I think you another round. All right, so that was your Rotarians through the years. Here's just a little kind of a quote. I know you're always like Googling on your phone. Maybe do this, like, how do you find your purpose, your passion, your sense of community? I really think a lot of us have found that through Rotary, and I think hearing everyone's journeys from new members to charter members through 42 years kind of proves that you found your community. And with that, if we could all stand and do the 5-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it true?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Is it fun? All right, thank you, everyone. Oh, hold on, we have a picture. We need a picture of Mickey, Claudia, and everyone, and then we're gonna do it by the wall. So leave your garbage picture, and then one of Dean and Marissa. Yes, you can. All right, thank you, everyone.
I mean, it's not saying that I want to understand. Oh, right. Kevin. Don't be more hungry. Yeah. Oh, good job. Okay, Mickey. Okay, yeah, somebody else is stand down and hold the staff. All right.
Please say Mickey. 1, 2, Mickey. That was that big birthday that I had. Thank you. Yes. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I don't think any trips anytime soon or anything, but. Yeah.
Next time we need to get off the skin.
Yeah. To bring the boys tonight. The juniors. He's still on. So crazy. I'm